Welcome back to Round 3 Prediction Show. You guys know the routine by now, so let's get right into the main event. UFC Seattle, Joe Pyfer versus Israel Adesanya. We're going to start with Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer started his career off in 2018 as a pro. He's fighting out of Philadelphia. Started his career off 7-1 on the regional scene. Won championships in two different regional promotions, the AOWCF and the ROC, both in the middleweight divisions. Made his first appearance in the UFC on the Dana White Contender Series back in 2020. He lost that fight due to injury after getting slammed, and I want to say that fight was against Dustin Stolfus. From there, he bounced back 2 years later, came back to Dana White's Contender Series, got the win, earned a contract off of a beautiful counter left knockout. Came to the UFC as a power puncher and primarily a striker, but has rounded his game out as he's gone along. He's 4-1 in his last 5 fights, and his notable wins are against Abus Magomedov and Kelvin Gastelum. He does have one lone loss since that Dana White Contender Series debut, and that is against Jack Hermansson, and that was a 5-round fight. So let's get into what Joe Pyfer does well, and that is strike. So he lands 3.47 significant strikes a minute. He's 43% accurate with those strikes. He prefers to throw 1 to 2 big shots at a time. He has a flat-footed plotting style, and the way he throws his strikes, in my opinion, is like a very stiff at times and can be like a rock'em sock'em robot style. He's extremely quick, and he makes that style work. I mean, his record speaks for itself. He has really good straight punches, but he primarily chooses to throw hard looping shots. Really, really good check left hook, which we've seen in numerous fights. He landed it against Gastelum. He landed it in his Dana White Contender Series win to earn his contract. As we know, ask Marc-Andre Barrio, he has one shot KO power. He can put you out with one punch. He likes to pull down on his opponent's lead hand, and his opponent in this fight likes to do the same thing, so it's going to be interesting to kind of see that lead hand fight in this fight. He looks to find big moments opposed to score points consistently, and that's one thing I don't like about his striking style. Let's talk about Joe Pyfer defensively speaking. He absorbs just over 3 significant strikes a minute, but he defends 50% of the strikes that are coming his way. He carries his hands a bit low, and that's a lot of that's because he trusts his power. He is susceptible to leg kicks. You go back and watch that Jack Hermansson fight, he was eating a ton of leg kicks, and he did not like it. He was reacting very badly to them. He moves straight back when defending punches, and he's very reactive to his opponent's feints. So on to where I feel Pyfer will have the most success in this fight, and that's the grappling department. Pyfer averages just over a takedown per 15 minutes at 1.23. He's 33% accurate with those takedowns. That's not a good number. He's averaging a submission attempt per fight, so when he gets down there, he is looking to finish the fight via submission. Very, very strong in the body lock position. Primarily early in fights, but he's definitely a bully when it comes to that position specifically. That's what he goes for takedown-wise. He'll shoot for a double and a single, but he likes to kind of get a hold of you and just kind of bear hug you and get you up off the ground and kind of show you how strong he is. That's what Joe Pyfer prefers to do. Similar to Evloev last week, he has a very high-energy grappling style. That's what I'm not a fan of, and in a 5-round fight, we're going to see how that's going to hold up. He's a good offensive grappler. He'll latch onto submissions extremely quick. He prefers that arm triangle. So when he gets on top of you and you kind of reach in one way or another to try to get to your feet, he'll take advantage of that. Defensively speaking, his takedown defense is at 50%, but I don't think he's going to have to worry much about that in this fight. He can be reversed in grappling situations. Numerous fights I've seen people flip the position on him and land a little bit of ground and pound and kind of put him in some compromised positions. So, got a great record, but it has not gone without being earned. Biggest question about Joe Pyfer is the cardio, right? So he's gone 5 rounds one time in the UFC. Like we said at the top of the bill, that was a loss to Jack Hermansson. He was still throwing hard, and he was still looking okay late in that fight. The things that I didn't like seeing in that fight is just the way he was taking damage. I mean, Jack Hermanson landed a clear jab, and he was kind of looking over to the ref, kind of wanting to eye poke. And Pyfer strikes me as the person who doesn't get pushed in the striking department a lot in camp. I don't think he's someone who gets punched in the face a lot, if you ask me. So we're going to see how his style holds up over 5 rounds if he chooses to implement it, or if he chooses to kind of sit back and strike and play the point game with Izzy in this fight to kind of retain that gas tank, because that's the biggest concern for me. So on to Israel Adesanya. Made his MMA debut in 2012. We all know Izzy has an extensive kickboxing background. Started off his pro career 11-0, joined the UFC in 2018 with a ton of hype behind him with all the success he had and glory, and we all know the story, right? Became the middleweight champion in 2019 when he unified the interim belt and beating Robert Whittaker via TKO in the second round. Put together multiple title defenses and, in my opinion, has become one of the best middleweights of all time. Unfortunately, he's 1-4 in his last 5 fights, and in that stretch, he's lost to Imavov, Dricus du Plessis, Sean Strickland, and Alex Pereira. But the lone win in that stretch is probably, in my opinion, the biggest win of his MMA career, and that's the knockout win against Alex Poatan Pereira. So on to what Izzy also does well, just like his opponent, is the striking. Izzy has a very wide stance. He works off a lot of feints, as we know, kind of I wouldn't say herky-jerky, but more of a twitchy style to kind of get his opponents to react and draw things out of him. Really, really sharp jab. Probably one of the most accurate leg kickers in the UFC, if you ask me. He prefers to fight off the back foot, which could cause him problems in this fight. He lands around 4 significant strikes a minute, and he's 48% accurate with those strikes. Izzy is a technician on the feet, and he's one of the most dynamic strikers in UFC history. He hasn't shown that finishing ability and that power in these last few fights, but trust me, it's still there. He carries his hands low, similar to his opponent in this fight. He's gotten away with kind of leaning back and using like a tall man's defense earlier on in his career, but as of late, it's gotten him in trouble. He reaches his hands out at times to find range or almost hand fight, but he'll do it with both of his hands, and I'm not a fan of it. It's almost zombie-like, and he got caught against Strickland, he got caught against Pereira, and it's just not a good technique, not in MMA. He's not making the same reads that he was earlier on in his career. I mean, he was circling into Strickland's right hand the entire fight when they fought. When he fought Imavov, similar thing. He's not stepping back and countering and making people pay the way he used to early in his career. He's just trying to get out of the way of punches and reset. And that's not the Izzy that we all like to see or remember. He tends to settle with his back against the cage, which also not going to be a good idea in this fight. Like I say, the movement slows a bit as the fight goes on, but the thing about Izzy is his hand speed and his kick speed still stay the same throughout the entire fight. Going back to that Imavov fight, he got finished 10 seconds after the eye poke that he pushed Mark Goddard away when he tried to step in and give him some time. He should have taken that time. So on to what Izzy's had to defend essentially his whole career, being the striker that he is the grappling. He rarely grapples offensively. I mean, he's only landing 0.05 takedown averages per fight. So, I mean, the only takedowns I've seen from him were the fight against Poatan, if I recall correctly. He may have some earlier on before his title run, but Izzy prefers to stay on the feet. He has good ground and pound when he is in position. He'll take advantage of it, but that's basically it. He's a minimal submission threat at only 0.1 submission attempts per fight. So any kind of submission attempt he's landing is usually just trying to sweep to get to his feet. Defensively speaking, he defends 76% of the takedowns that come his way. He has really strong hips, great sense of urgency to get back to his feet. He's really good in defensive grappling situations in the clinch, and that's going to be tested in this fight time and time again, because that's what his opponent likes to do. On to what I feel Izzy's biggest weapon in this fight will be, and that's his cardio. Very experienced 5-round fighter. He has 9 5-round fights, and he's gone the distance 11 times overall in the UFC. So Izzy's a fighter that's used to fighting at his own pace and dragging it late, finishing it late, or just scoring more points than the other person before the time's up. Side note I have here for Izzy, I question his relationship with Coach Eugene Behrman. Eugene's just been very critical of Izzy publicly, and as someone who's a coach myself, I would never criticize my players or my team publicly the way that Eugene Behrman does. So that's something where I wonder. I've been going back and forth all week on this fight, and that's why it took me so long to get this video out. Going back and forth, similar to how these odds have. I mean, Pyfer started off as the favorite. Now he's the underdog. I mean, this is going to be a heck of a fight. So I'm going to go over their win conditions here, and then I'm going to give you guys my final pick. So Izzy, his win condition is to keep the fight standing. He's got to stay on that front foot. He can't be okay with waiting for counters that don't ever come, or just kind of hanging out with his back against the cage like I've seen him do in numerous fights. He's also got to do damage with head strikes. Joe Pyfer, he doesn't even like getting jabbed in the face, like I mentioned earlier on. I don't think he's someone who gets punched a lot in training. So punch the guy in the face and see how he handles it. Joe Pyfer, consistent forward pressure. Do what you always do. Press forward. Strike to get into that clinch. Body lock. Takedowns. Stay on it. Stay on it. Keep the fight there. Do not fall into the point fighting, back and forth, slow-paced fight that Izzy's going to try to make it, because you will lose this fight. My pick in the main event for UFC Seattle is Israel Last Stylebender Adesanya. I'm going to trust that the year plus off he's taken has done his body well, has done his mind well, and that him and his coach have repaired whatever issues they've had in the past, and that they do have a good relationship, because they are some of the best game planning team duos, Izzy and Eugene Behrman, in the game. So if they both come in, locked in, motivated, I don't think Joe Pyfer's 1 or 2 shots at a time, big looping punches, driving in on body locks, it's stuff that Izzy's seen time and time again. The only question is, how motivated is Izzy to turn that clock back and show us that version of himself? Because Joe Pyfer can definitely win this fight. And the thing is, he can win it early, and he can make all of us Izzy supporters here look very silly very quick. But I'm going to trust the championship pedigree. I'm going to trust Izzy to drag the fight late, and I'm going to trust Izzy to have better reads than he's had in the past. Israel Adesanya to win in the main event at UFC Seattle. On to the co-main event, Maycee Barber versus Alexa Grasso. We're going to start with Maycee Barber. Maycee Barber's 5'5". She's got a 65-inch reach, and she's a switch stance fighter. Offensively speaking, Maycee lands over 4.5 significant strikes a minute. She's extremely high volume. She's 53% accurate with those strikes. Extremely, extremely aggressive fighter. I mean, this girl comes forward and she wings punches over the top, left and right overhand punches, and she definitely just goes with aggression over technicality. At times, she can get emotional and kind of throw over her feet and put herself in bad situations. You are not going to see this girl use a jab at all. She is going to be throwing power and trying to get into the clinch. She likes to throw flurries, like I said, often with her head down, which is something I'm not a fan of. Extremely strong in the clinch when it comes to dirty boxing. So defensively speaking, she absorbs 2.76 strikes per minute, and she defends 54% of the strikes coming her way. She was getting pieced up a couple fights ago against Caitlin Sermonara, and the footwork and just the range was really giving her trouble, specifically in the second round of that fight. She has decent footwork, but she doesn't really move her head off the center line, and she gets hit flush when she does get hit. So on to where she's strong is the grappling. She's averaging over a takedown and a half per fight. and she's 45% accurate with those takedowns. She's really strong in all positions when it comes to grappling. In the clinch, when she gets to the ground, she has good top pressure. She prefers the body lock takedown. She likes to trip and drag you to the ground, opposed to doubles and singles. She doesn't really go for submissions when she gets down there. Not much to talk about. 0.1 submission attempts per 15 minutes. But she's really strong in the top position. She's nasty ground and pound. She's really looking to hurt you on the ground, not submit you. Defensively speaking, she has a 51% takedown defense rate. She'll give up a lot of control time against the cage. That's one thing I don't like about Maycee. She'll kind of hang out there to catch her breath because she does fight at such a high pace. She's been reversed and handled by much less grapplers in the past as well. So talking about Maycee Barber's cardio, she's gone to 9 decisions in the UFC, and she can maintain that aggressive pace over the course of 3 rounds. She's shown it time and time again. She stays consistent with her game plan, and she's able to do that because she trains properly. She documents it. You can kind of follow her pages online. The girl, she's gone through some stuff the past few years, but she cares about her career. She cares about her body and staying in shape and being a professional. You can call me crazy on this one, but I just looking at the card overall and just looking at the fights at the top and looking at things they've done in the past, I strongly feel that this fight should have been a 5-round fight. It should have been a 5-round co-main. Side note here, when I was doing tape, I came across my absolute favorite Joe Rogan quote, and I'm sure we all know it. A couple fights back for Maycee Barber, he says, "Everything's ugly in a Maycee Barber fight, except her." On to her opponent, Alexa Grasso. She's 5'5", 66-inch reach, and she fights out of an orthodox stance. Alexa lands 4.1 significant strikes a minute. She is 41% accurate with those strikes. She has a really high guard, really crisp and sharp boxing. Really awesome counter striker, if you ask me. Defensively speaking, she absorbs 3.73 significant strikes a minute. But she defends 58% of the strikes coming her way. She's very defensively sound and extremely fast. She parries punches and kicks very well. She has really good lateral movement. She has a very good duck under as well. She ducks under punches very well. She has just very good eyes. Sees punches coming in her direction extremely well. Very strong chin. She's absorbed a ton of significant strikes over her last 5 fights. On to where I feel like people are underestimating Grasso in this matchup, and that's her grappling. She averages just about half a takedown per 15 minutes. She's only 35% accurate with those takedown attempts. She prefers to keep the fight on the feet. She's averaging 0.6 submission attempts per fight, so when she gets the fight when she is on the ground, she is looking to finish it via submission every once in a great while. She's very strong in the clinch. Reverses positions very well. In their first fight, she controlled a lot of the grappling exchanges against the cage. I mean, you can go back and watch. She was showing to be the much more technical grappler and the much stronger woman in those exchanges. Grasso's gone to 11 decisions in the UFC, 3 of those being 5-round fights. She has phenomenal cardio. She does not slow down at all. She fights at a very methodical pace and always is able to keep the fight within herself. In my opinion, she tends to be lower volume against the higher level fighters, a lot less willing to move forward against higher level strikers. You could see that in her last fight. So let's see if her opponent can give her that issue in this fight. Let's go over their win conditions. So Alexa Grasso, keep the fight at distance, keep the fight at your pace. Also, score and do damage with counters, and potentially finish the fight with a counter. Maycee Barber, control and control time. Keep the fight pressed against the fence. Keep her on her back. Just keep it in that clinch range while you are in the offensive position. Also, push a high pace and make it dirty. Don't let it turn into a technical battle. Do what you were trying to do in that first fight. Just keep that foot on the gas for as long as you can. My pick in the co-main event this weekend at UFC Seattle is going to be Alexa Grasso. I feel just the level of competition that these women have fought over the past 4 to 5 fights is not comparable whatsoever, and the activity isn't comparable whatsoever. Maycee Barber, She's a pit bull. She comes out really hot and really hard, but there's not a lot of technique behind it. She's there to be countered. And it's just the activity. Maycee Barber's only fought 2 times since March of 2024. That's not someone I'm going to get behind. My pick this weekend, UFC Seattle, Alexa Grasso. You guys know the deal. Quick picks. Got Thayanara versus Bruno Brazil. We're going Thayanara. Got Ricky Simone versus Adrian Yanez. Going Ricky Simone. Got Navajo Sterling versus Bruno Lopez. Going Navajo Sterling. Got Casey O'Neill versus Gabriel Fernandez. We're going Gabriel Fernandez. Marcin Tybura versus Tyrell Fortune. We're going to go Tyrell Fortune. Chase Hooper versus Lance Gibson Jr. This is going to be one of the best fights on the prelims. We're going to go with Chase Hooper. Ignacio Bahamendez versus Tofik Musayev. Going Ignacio Bahamendez. Now we are on to the main card. Terrence McKinney versus Kyle Nelson. We're going Terrence McKinney, and that fight's going to end in the first round. Mansour Abdul Malik versus Usari Belgari. I'm going Mansour Abdul Malik. Julian Orosa versus Larion Douglas. I'm going Larion Douglas. Michael Chiesa versus Nico Price. I'm going to go Michael Chiesa, but I don't think he should be an 8-1 favorite the way he is, and I do not feel Nico Price should be almost a 5-1 underdog. Those odds are not right. Alexa Grasso versus Maycee Barber in the co-main event. We're going Alexa Grasso. And Israel Stylebender Adesanya versus Joe Bodybags Pyfer. We're going Israel Adesanya to win the main event at UFC Seattle this Saturday. So, as we always do, to tack on to those quick picks, I'm going to give you my 4 most confident picks on the night. First, Alexei Thayanara over Bruno Brazil. I don't feel Bruno Brazil should be in the UFC. I feel she is only still contracted because she is a part of the Fighting Nerds now, and they are kind of the hot team. So Alexei Thayanara is going to make it look easy. She may get her out of there in the second or third round. The lateral movement and just the footwork is going to be too much for Bruna, I should say. Next fight, Navajo Sterling over Bruno Lopez. Navajo Sterling is not, like a lot of people know, he's not quite the prospect everyone thought, but I still feel like he's going to make this fight look fairly easy. Next, Chase Hooper over Lance Gibson Jr. I feel Chase is just going to get into his world the way he usually does. I think he learned from getting clipped against Hernandez, and I don't think he's ever going to let that happen again. And the 4th and final most confident pick for UFC Seattle is Terrence McKinney over Kyle Nelson. Round 3's underdog lock of the week is Alexei Grasso. I feel these odds should be flipped. I feel that Maycee's going to come into this fight extremely over-emotional, and she's going to put herself in bad spots. That's what I think. Alexei Grasso has championship pedigree at this point, numerous 5-round fights. This is only a 3-rounder, so we don't really have to worry about that, but just the composure I'm speaking to and being in those big moments. For those reasons, give me Alexei Grasso to win the co-main event and for round 3's underdog lock of the week. So that's my take on UFC Seattle. It's going to be super exciting. Once again, UFC setting us up for a movie-like scene, right? The established former champion has all the credentials, and the young up-and-comer trying to take all those credentials. Well, here's how I feel about this fight. I feel that Joe Pyfer is going to fight extremely more timid than he usually does. The moment's going to be a bit too big for him. And he'll have his time, but we got ranked number 14 going against ranked number 4. And I think you're going to see that gap. Israel Adesanya is the kind of person who has had no problem not being the best in the world. And for that reason alone, I feel that's why he's going to get back to the top. So I think this is a start to that, and I think this is a start to Adesanya going on a little win streak here before the end of his career. Israel Adesanya to win in the main event. Alexei Grasso to win in the co-main event. And that is my take on UFC Seattle, and I will see you next time in round 3.